carried. And then we'll move on to the part A, which is the item 10, Ferry Road Masterplan. Now, there's some additional staff advice which has come as part of this reporting, noting, really referring to that annual plan decision that Jake referred to, noting that staff have been asked to report back on options for implementing school speed zones more efficiently as part of the annual plan adoption, and the board will receive a copy of this report once completed. So Jake has signalled that the community board are comfortable with that recommendation and the way that it picks up that work. And the wording has changed ever so slightly. Okay. Note the staff have been requested to consider additional options such as permanent school speed zones to access greater cost efficiencies implementing school speed zones, and the community board will receive a copy of the staff advice once completed. Fine. Okay. Yanni.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't hear the chair of the board say that they were happy with what was in the annual plan in regards to this particular request, and I think it's really important to just draw the distinction between a school speed zone and what this project is. This is a master plan project, and effectively you wouldn't have a school speed zone through here for a whole bunch of reasons as per the normal criteria for a school speed zone. But what you can do is have a safety zone for the school, which is a safer crossing going across, which, as I understand it, is being looked at as a pedestrian signalised crossing. So the money's on budget for next year. There's a little bit of money this year to do the planning, and what the board is asking for, which I support, and I think it is consistent with what we've put in the annual plan, is that that funding gets brought forward a year so that we can get on and get this project done. There seems to be no reason to delay it for further advice, given this project is already underway. It's simply a question of timing of the funding to enable it to be delivered in the either this current financial year or next financial year. So I don't know if staff can want to respond to that, but I was concerned that the staff advice doesn't, or the information we've had doesn't quite reflect what the intent of this was. Maybe we need some staff advice on this.
Mr. Chairman,
because did we deal with this through the annual plan process and make a decision on it, or did we not? And I can't remember on this specific issue.
The council, as I understand it, said to the community board, in terms of the Woolston master plan and this area, that we were happy to bring forward the funding if the community board came back to council and requested it. And this one is a very sensible one, in that basically what we're talking about is whether we do the project this year or next year. The funding is only 1 year, so it's got a very small impact on our budget, and the staff have already started work on it. So
what are the implications? The question then really is, and Dave, I don't know whether you're the person to answer this, what are the implications of bringing forward the funding as requested by the community board?
I'm not sure. I am, one of my staff is probably the right person, but I have to go and actually get some advice, Mr. Chairman, so maybe I can go and find.
Well, why don't we defer this matter, because I noticed that Jake has already gone, so we can deal with this in his absence either now or later. I'd suggest we defer this matter till the first item we come back to this afternoon, and that'll give you time to get the advice, and it means that we can still deal with all of the community board chairs so that nobody's waiting over lunchtime. So we'll leave this and come back to it as the first item we deal with this afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, we had a process with the annual plan. We've agreed budgets, etc. There are 6 schools, and we're talking safety and speed zones and other areas, and this one as well, that I'm sure councillors would like to move forward. So if we're going to start readjusting our budgets and pushing things forward, then I'd certainly put forward the schools in my area, and I'm sure other councillors would too.
Yeah, okay, so we'll deal with all of this when we come back after lunch, and that may well be a consideration we take into account at that time. Okay, I'm keen to move on from this, otherwise we're going to have the community board chairs waiting over lunchtime. We will come back and deal with item 10 at 2 o'clock.
See why we can't support that. It's asking staff to look at options for that area. It may not be a speed zone. It's the so they may as well progress with that and deal with the funding later.
This is what you've just signed off as well, and that's the annual plan.
Right.
Do you think it's relevant?
Okay. Let's come back and deal with it at 2 o'clock. It may well be that it can be dealt with quite simply at that time, but I'm just quite keen, if there's a need for staff advice, that we get that staff advice before we make the decision. Okay, so we'll deal with it at 2 o'clock, and that'll give people an opportunity to have conversations about it if they want to in the lunch break as well. All right, now Mike Moore is still not back.